In the Goosebumps universe, dimensions really have not been explored that much, and as far as we know, there are only 3. And the first one being the main Goosebumps dimension, with Slappy the Haunted Mask, and pretty much all the other books except for maybe like 1 or 2. And so then we have the other dimension, which is the black and white dimension shown in the Haunted School. And then the third one that we see is the mirror dimension from multiple other Goosebumps books. And so what happens if I told you, though, that My Best Friend is Invisible, just a normal Goosebumps book, actually is in the mirror universe for multiple reasons? And so anyway, guys, before I continue, though, just want to say that there are going to be some spoilers for My Best Friend is Invisible, Let's Get Invisible, The Ghost in the Mirror, and also a short story, I believe, from the Tales to Give You Goosebumps books called Mirror, Mirror on the Wall. And so basically for all those books, though, very minor spoilers. For My Best Friend is Invisible, which is the book I'm going to spoil the most, it's basically just the ending and the main antagonist of the book. And same for pretty much all the other stories, minus the ending. Mainly I'm going to be talking about the villain and what their main goal is. So if you don't want those minor-ish things spoiled, then I would strongly advise you not to watch this video, but it's perfectly okay for you not to read the book and just watch the video because, again, it's really not that big of spoilers. But with that out of the way, guys, let's continue on with this theory. But there's just one more warning I want to issue, and that this video is super confusing. I said that Crombie the Troll little theory that I did on St. Patrick's Day was confusing. This one is 1,000 times more confusing. I'm dealing with a bunch of dimension stuff and all that, but anyway, I've already started talking about theory stuff at the 2-minute mark, so I really should just getting to the point of this video. And so basically, My Best Friend is Invisible ends with it's revealed that this book takes place in the future. And the whole world has been taken over by aliens, and humans are an endangered species. And so really that's how My Best Friend is Invisible ends. And also is revealed that what's his name? Brent Green, also known as the Invisible Boy, is one of the only humans on Earth. And so it seems like this book takes place in the future. But what happens if I told you, due to this theory, that the book actually takes place in present times, in the mirror dimension? And it kind of makes a whole lot of sense once you think about it, but you really need to think about this. I'm surprised I even came up with this thing. So anyways, so proof that this book really doesn't take place in the main Goosebumps dimension is that it contradicts the future that we see in TikTok You're Dead. In TikTok You're Dead, I'm not going to spoil it because I didn't warn it earlier, but basically in TikTok You're Dead, it warns sort of a future that is completely different from the one in My Best Friend is Invisible. You could say that My Best Friend is Invisible takes place farther in the future than TikTok You're Dead, but that's really weird because the technology shown in My Best Friend is Invisible is miles behind the one that we see in TikTok You're Dead. The humans have better technology than the aliens that we see in My Best Friend is Invisible. And so TikTok You're Dead is guaranteed to be in the main Goosebumps timeline. And so I think due to the contradiction of those two things, that it pretty much means that they are completely different universes, or dimensions. And so I honestly believe that this I'm so sorry. I was talking about the My Best Friend is Invisible cover, I'm sorry. But this book takes place in the mirror dimension. It can't be the black and white dimension from the Haunted School, due to that one being black and white, and you can obviously tell from the descriptions in the book and the cover art that is not black and white. So it has to take place in the mirror dimension, because that's the only other dimension it could be in. And so that's my first bit of evidence. And second bit of evidence for this is the main antagonist of my best friend is invisible. And so one thing I just forgot to say, I'm sorry, this video is kind of disjointed a little bit, but first I kind of want to introduce you to the mirror dimension of what I believe it is like. So I believe the mirror dimension is sort of like our world except flipped. It's sort of like the black and white dimension from the haunted school. It's our world except it's black and white. And it's the same thing sort of for this, except it's a mirrored, like everything's backwards and stuff. And so, in previous incarnations, though, it does sort of say that it's only one person staring at it, especially from Mirror, Mirror on the Wall, from the Tales to Give You Goosebumps story, not from the book itself, from the series itself. But then, how could you have the reflection of your background? So if the person inside the reflection is part of the mirror dimension, how come the rest of the background isn't? So I honestly believe it's a flipped version of our world, and the mirrors are sort of like a portal between those two areas. And also, the people living in the mirror dimension do not know they're actually reflections of other people and stuff like that. And I think our world sort of behaves as the mirror universe for the people living in the mirror dimension. And I think only people who figure out that they're in different dimensions turn out to be evil. That's why in only very few Goosebumps books do they actually, mirrors actually attack people. Because if all the mirror people actually knew they were mirrors, wouldn't they come out of the portals, take over everyone's lives, and actually live in a real world? So I think only very few people actually realize that they are in a different dimension. And those people are the main antagonists that we see in books like Ghost in the Mirror, Let's Get Invisible, and Mirror, Mirror on the Wall. Also, another thing to note is that a reflection from the mirror universe, when they look at themselves, they do not have a reflection. That is one thing to note. But anyway, guys, second bit of evidence. It's already 7 minutes in this video. Whoa. So, anyway, second bit of evidence is the main antagonist from My Best Friend is invisible. The Invisible Boy, also known as Brent Green. In the book, he's portrayed as one of the last humans on Earth. But also, he's portrayed sort of as a good guy. He wants to help the main protagonist throughout the book. Even in the end, he says, I just wanted to be best friends with the main protagonist. He didn't say that, but that's basically what he wanted. All he wanted in the entire book was to be best friends with the main protagonist. Which, first off, is a little strange. Like, that's your whole main goal. There's no ulterior motives. There's no evil motives. But then we take a look at the Goosebumps film, in which it portrays Brent Green as a villain. It's completely different from the way he is in the book. You could say that the reason Brent Green is a villain in the Goosebumps film is because he doesn't want to be sucked back in the book. But then you have Hannah Fairchild from The Ghost Next Door. She is a good guy in her book, and she's a good guy in the Goosebumps film. So it should be the same case for the Invisible Boy. So why is it not the case? And so I believe that while he's not an antagonist in the Goosebumps film, he is the antagonist in Let's Get Invisible from the Goosebumps original series. And there's numerous pieces of evidence to prove that. And so in the Goosebumps Survival Guide, I believe, according to Goosebumps Wiki actually, he is said to have very similar design to the main protagonist in Let's Get Invisible, who shares a similar design to his reflection. So I think that honestly means that his reflection, the main protagonist in Let's Get Invisible's reflection is Brent Green from My Best Friend is Invisible. There's numerous pieces of evidence to prove that. With the whole design is the same. It'll explain why he's a bad guy and also explain why, as a tie-in to the Goosebumps film, Let's Get Invisible was released instead of My Best Friend is Invisible. It's really weird because as a tie-in to the Goosebumps film, Let's Get Invisible was released and not My Best Friend is Invisible, which did have the Invisible Boy. All of the books that were tied to the Goosebumps film featured monsters from the Goosebumps film. So that means the antagonist from Let's Get Invisible was in the Goosebumps film and could very easily be Brent Green. Third piece of evidence that I have for you guys today is the fact that is sort of a thing I've sort of already touched on, and that is that in My Best Friend is Invisible, the world is an exact mirror of our world. These people still have cats and all that stuff. They have, they have cats, they have kitchens, they have pizza, they have all this stuff that seems like it should be only had in a human world. But the aliens are just pretty much adopting everything humans have, which is weird. If these were actually aliens, and they were not native to planet Earth and this dimension, then how come they do not have special technology? They even copy our mathematical system. They even copy the school thing, so it seems most likely that these guys are in the mirror dimension because they're an exact mirror to our world and they have the exact same technology, which means they're native to this planet. But how come humans, or I would say people from the other reflection world, possibly, I don't know, basically are part of the endangered species thing, and all that stuff. Again, this is very, very confusing. Even I'm the creator of this theory, and I'm confused tremendously. But anyway, so, also there's, the mirrored world that I was talking about. So if these guys probably would have a huge piece of technology if they actually took over the world, so they're native to the world and all that stuff. But you might say there is a contradiction to this due to these people in the mirror dimension, so said, have two heads. They are guaranteed to be aliens, completely different from humans in so many ways. But then you take a look at Ghost in the Mirror. They have monsters in the mirror dimension. And I think possibly that when a person from the normal dimension looks in the mirror, from the mirror's perspective, when the people in the mirror dimension look into their mirrors, they see the human person, and so, never mind, I just forgot what I was going to say, but basically, there are monsters in the mirror dimension, as said by the Ghost in the Mirror, so it seems like, after 13 minutes of talking about this, that My Best Friend is Invisible takes place in the mirror dimension. My throat is hurting right now. I don't know why. I've said so much longer videos. Like, I even did the Goosebumps collection video that was 45 minutes long. My throat wasn't hurting, but I don't know. I don't know. It's very confusing, though, so I'm just going to try to sum it up. Basically, My Best Friend is Invisible takes place in the mirror dimension in the Goosebumps universe. And that's, the evidence to prove that is the whole Brent Green dilemma of how he is most likely the main antagonist in Let's Get Invisible, due to him sharing the same character design. Also, as a tie-in to the Goosebumps film, they released Let's Get Invisible instead of My Best Friend is Invisible. And also it would explain why he turned evil. And also there's no other dimension for My Best Friend is Invisible to take place in. And the third thing is that My Best Friend is Invisible is an exact copy of our world. And also further evidence is that monsters are in the Goosebumps dimension. I mean, not in the Goosebumps dimension, the mirror dimension. And so it's very easy for two-headed aliens to be in the mirror universe. But anyway, guys, that is the end of my video. I'm so sorry about how disjointed and confusing this one was. But I hope you guys enjoyed nevertheless. And that is the end, guys, of my video.